Hello everyone, hope you're having a great day today. This is Phyllis with CreativeDomenica. Today I wanted to come on here and show you something very interesting. Okay, so this is a board game. This isn't really the interesting part of what I want to show you. The thing I want to show you is some of these games have so many different pieces, and I love this little game, and I'm going to start doing some game reviews and playthroughs. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And so I just wanted to show you, in this particular game, you get a lot of bags and things, and it comes with so many different pieces, and it's just all part of the fun of the game. And there's a ton more in the box, but the pieces I'm talking about are these little pieces that you need to play the game. And where do you put these when you have the game? Because a lot of these games also have quite a big board. As you can see, I don't even think I'm going to be able to get this in my camera, but just so you could appreciate that this board is very, very, very long, okay? And it folds up into a nice compact size, but it's a long board. So by the time you have your board out, your cards, your pieces, you have so much on your desk or where you will be playing your game, whether it be your dining room table, kitchen table, things like that, that there's no room. So what I was doing is, these are silicone little muffin things. I was using these to put the pieces, but then they take up a lot of room. You could use solo cups, or you could pay a fortune for these gaming pieces, which I'm not going to do that. It's just too expensive to get these plastic. They look pretty and everything, but they're just a lot of money. Anyway, what I have come up with is something like this. And see, I have, it's a box, and I put some of the pieces in. So this will fit really neatly. This will fit really neatly right at the side of your board. If you need to pass this around to other players, it's easy to do. And so obviously this game has a lot more pieces. This has 6 compartments. So I'm going to make 2 of these, and we're going to sit them side by side, and they will take up relatively no room. This is 12 inches long by 2 inches wide. By 1.5 inch high, and these are so easy to make, and they are so sturdy. And so I will just put these in the cabinet, and then when I have my game, I will just pull this out, fill it with the components, and we're good to go. So I am going to make another one of these, and I'll show you how easy they are. And you can make them out of any kind of paper. You could try to get, you know, maybe some of the artwork of the game that you're intending to use this with, and use that paper. This is a prototype that I made. This is the very first one that I've made, and it comes together relatively, really fast. If you have all your components out, it'll come together really fast. So I am going to gather all my supplies here, and just stay tuned, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my game off to the side, and so what you will need to do this is you're going to need some chipboard. And this is just some chipboard that I had laying around for a while. I wasn't really stuck on it, but I figured out how to get around my difficulties with it. What happened was I noticed that this peels really easily. As you could see, it's quite thin. I don't even think this is 30 weight. I think it's a thinner size. So you could, as you could see, it's kind of bendable. But I wanted to make this easy. You know, the thicker you get your chipboard, the harder it's going to be for you to cut. And I didn't want to go out and get a new cutter. So I'm able to cut this with my trusty Fiskars. You just have to, and I did order some new blades. You just got to pass it through a couple of times, and it might not cut all the way through. Let me show you a piece. Hold on. These are 2 inches on the bottom. Let me just get my tape measure. I'm going to try to get everything out I need beforehand, and I did have it out. Okay. So this is going to be 2 inches, and then it's going to be 1.5 inches high, the sides. You can make them, certainly I could have made it a little bit, 1 inch, but I wanted to give myself a little bit of room because some games have more pieces, like plastic pieces that take up more volume. And so then this is also going to be 2 inches. And so that is the whole box. And then these little pieces are going to be the same as the end, which is going to be 1.5 by 2. So it's pretty easy to make. So let me cut out a 2-inch piece here. And however, this isn't 12 inches. This one I had cut. So hold on, let me grab a big piece. So here is a 12 by 12 piece. And I don't have the label on the package anymore, so I couldn't tell you. But there is a lot of places you can get chipboard on Amazon, or if you want to go to your favorite store, your craft store, you could see if they have it there. So I have it on the 2-inch, and really hold it good when you're doing this. And I'm just passing it back and forth, giving it a lot of pressure. And you'll feel it wiggle, and see, if you do it really slow now and just rip that apart, you'll get a nice clean cut. And see how easy that is? So now we already have our bottom base. So then what you're going to do, being I have this here, I might as well cut it. And so I am going for 1.5. So you're going to do the same thing. Hold it and press it hard. And I'm just going to do that. And you see it's nice and wobbly. And we're going to do the same thing. Just take your time. And so then we have one other side. So we have the bottom and one side. And so we're going to do that again, 1.5. I would say 4, 2 up, 2 down. And that gives you a good... You're going to have to determine, based on the chipboard that you have, and I have some more coming from Amazon later on tonight. So I'm glad I have a lot on hand. I even have black. You could use any color you want. I gravitate towards the gray or the chipboard color. That's the one that I use the most. Okay, so now we have our 2 sides and our bottom. Now what we're going to need to make is we need to create a piece for this inside. And it's a lot easier than you may think. So now the size of this is going to be the 2 inches. Okay, so we're going to do another 2-inch piece. And I will explain all this to you as we're going along. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. Okay, so this is going to be for our inside piece. And now we need one more piece for these sides, because I don't think this is going to give us, this piece we just cut is going to give us enough. Because these are spaced 2 inches apart. We might have enough. So I'm just going to do the one for the time being, but just keep in mind that you will need 2 additional ones for the side. And I'll see if we could get it out of this piece. And then we have this left. So we'll just put that on the side. We'll put our box on the side. And so the next thing we need to do, once we have these pieces all here, is figure out what paper you want to use. Now, you could use printables, and you could use scrapbook paper. This, I use scrapbook paper, and like I said, this was just a prototype, so I just kind of grabbed the first thing that I found. So now, if you want to, you do not have to put the paper on the inside. You could gesso the inside, or just paint the inside white, or you can just even use white cardstock or black cardstock or whatever you want. I just thought it looked kind of pretty to have, you know, a coordinating paper. And then, so I think this is like one sheet or maybe a sheet and a half of scrapbook paper. So I'm going to grab some sheets and then I'll return and I will show you. Okay, so again, here's our little prototype box. And the paper I used on this box was a thicker paper. So when it got folded over, it cracked. So what I'm going to try to do to rectify that is I picked this paper, and this is thin paper. And it's by, I love this paper pad, Theodosia Square. And this is the Paper Studio. That is Hobby Lobby's signature paper, I guess. And it's just a nice thin paper. It's a beautiful paper pad. I'm going to see if I could perhaps find another one of these. I didn't pay $20 for it. If you get Hobby Lobby when they have sales, these are like under $10. So I'm going to use this. And I do have 2 of these sheets if I need them. And I thought that the black would look nice on the inside, being there's a lot of black on here. So I am going to go with this. I'm not going to really think about it too much. We're just going to go with it. So the first thing that we are going to do is get our pieces here. And I need our 2-inch piece and then our 1.5-inch pieces for the side. Now, I am working with an old Scotch tape roll, and it's, like I said, I have some tape coming today, and this is always giving me a hard time. I'm determined to use this roll up, though. So bear with me a minute. I have to try to unravel this tape here. You see what keeps happening? Because it's old. You see, I never get it to just come out. It's always ripping. So I'm just gonna see what I can do here. And I'm just gonna take this out. So what you wanna do is turn a piece of this tape upside down and make sure it's longer than your 12-inch piece. And so I'm gonna, I can't use this right now, but I'm gonna put this off to the side, and I may be able to use it for a shorter piece. And see, it just keeps, this is just gonna give me a hard time. Okay, I am back. What I've done was, being this tape is so hard to work with, I kind of put some pieces off to the side. So the first thing that you're going to do is put this piece upside down. Put one of your pieces upside down of tape. And you're going to take your middle piece, the 2-inch piece, and you will leave some room on the top and on the bottom. Here, you're going to leave some room on the top and on the bottom, and go about halfway to the middle of your tape. And just put that piece down. Okay. And if you have a bone folder, that would be great. You could smooth out. Okay. So then get one of your 1.5 inch pieces. So I'm just going to eyeball this for simplicity reasons. And so I'm just going to leave a little tiny space. You just want enough that you will be able to fold this up. And just try to get it as straight as you could. And see, now that'll just fold right up with no problem. And so then what we're going to do is I'm going to get another piece of this tape out here. It could be a little challenging because this is going to want to stick to everything. Trying to think of the best way. Okay. It's going to give you a little bit of grief. It will. Okay. Just make sure you leave yourself some room on the top and the bottom again. Okay. And it doesn't mean it doesn't matter if the tape is off. The cardboard is straight, and so that's what you have to be concerned about. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. We are going to leave a space and try to get it, your top and your bottom, try to get it as straight as you can. So now you see these two pieces will come up straight. So what you're going to do is just fold over your ends and get your bone folder and help. That's going to help that be able to fold up easily. And by using this tape, these boxes come out really sturdy. And plus, all this on the inside, it's very, very, very sturdy box. We'll just help that up a little bit. Get those wrinkles out. Okay, so now we have the beginning of our box. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our other piece that we had off to the side. And I do have this, I have this cut already. Here it is. I did have one pre-cut. So I'm just going to grab these two sides because these are all the same. It's going to be the same side. So now these here will go into that side. And this is going to make, this is going to be our ends. So this is what we're going for. Oops. That's what we're going for. And that's going to be that. It's going to be the ends. Okay. So in order to get these, now let's see, I'll use one of these pieces of tape that kind of went bonkers on me. So turn this upside down, and you're going to put a piece of this tape down here. And this is about 2 inches, this tape, so it's a good size. Might be a little shy of 2 inches, and I'm trying to keep the wrinkles out. So we're going to do that on each side. So let me do that on the other side as well. I think it'll be easier if we do it at the same time. So we turn this over again. Put this on this side. Okay. That might be a little long, but that's okay. So now you do the same thing. Try to, let me come in a little bit. Put this down and put it as close to that as to the edge there as you can. And you want to be able to lift it. Okay. So I will fold that over. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. And again, you're going to try to get it as close as you can. Okay, as long as you could get your sides to come up. I think this is a little far away. You see, this is what I don't like about this chipboard. It is, it's the worst chipboard I ever bought. But I'm trying to use my stash of it. And so it is what it is. Sometimes when you buy stuff, you don't know what you're going to get. So that's better. Okay. So now we have this side and that side. And there is going to be our box. So now, to get these two sides, we will turn it over again. And we're going to get another piece of tape. I said between the chipboard I'm working with and the tape I'm working with, I have a handicapped, but I want to use both of them, so we're going to make it work. Okay. So I'm going to put that there, and then we're going to fold this over and just try to get this edge up to this edge up to this edge. So something like that. Okay. When you have that pretty well marked, just wrap that tape around there. And we'll trim this up in a second. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing on this side. So you're going to put that where that's even. I hope you could see that. And then just wrap your tape around. So then what you can do is, if your tape is longer, that's not a problem. All you have to do is just cut those edges there. Okay, and then fold the middle one down. And then fold the side ones down. Okay, and then you have your side. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So we're going to get our other piece of tape here. And again, we're going to put it on the edge. And you will line up again. And you will wrap that around. And then you're gonna get that one all even. And again, you're gonna get that tape down there. Okay. And then again, we will clip the edges. I'm going to fold the middle piece down first, and then we will do the sides. And we could go over the whole thing with our bone folds and make sure everything is stuck down. though, we're going to put the paper on top, so that's going to fortify it. And then we're going to, this is really going to strengthen it when you put these little centerpieces in. But there is your box, and so that was really simple to do. Just when you do it, use better chipboard and don't use old masking tape. So, and then that won't fight with you. All right, so then the next step we're going to do, now remember, this is going to be our interior. So, as you can see, it fits in there. And we may, well, we're going to cut it this way. When you cut it at 2 inches, you're probably going to have to shave a little bit off. That's what I noticed that I had to do on this. But it's okay. It's a little fiddly, but it works easy. You don't have to worry about it. Okay, so I am back. I made a couple changes here. I'm still going with the Theodosia square paper, but I like how this looks better than that other paper did. So we're going to do this on the inside, and we will do this on the outside. I think that'll look good. So we are going to do the outside first, because what I want to do is on this prototype here, I did without this. This is always going to be done last, these middle pieces here. Now, if you don't want to use the middle pieces, you could certainly leave it just, you know, one long 12-inch piece. But I'm going to do this way. So as you see, there is a 1/2 inch overlap on each side. And so I was thinking that I'm going to do the outside first with the overlap on the top and the bottom, but then I'm going to do the inside, so you're not really going to see the overlap. The thing you want to do is you don't want to see this up on top. You don't want to see your raw chipboard. So that'll be covered, and so I think it's going to look nicer, more tidier. So I'm going to go with that. So let's put the piece aside that we have started to construct. Now, as far as the size, and I have 2 sheets of each image, so hopefully I have enough. So now when I look at this paper, it could really be any way. It doesn't really have a one way to look at it, I don't believe. But what I'm going to do is now, this side piece here is going to be 1.5 inches. Okay, so if we want a 1/2 inch on the bottom and a 1/2 inch on the top, we will need to make that 2.5 inches. Okay, so we're going to have to add an extra inch. So I am going to cut this at 2.5 inches here. Actually, let me start on this end because there's a piece missing here. Okay, so we're going to do 2.5 inches. And I am going to cut a couple of these because we're going to need a few. Oh, I almost cut that wrong. And we have 2.5. Okay, and I think that should be enough for now. So what I want to do now is get my scoreboard. And what you will do is turn it upside down, your piece of paper. And we are going to score this at a 1/2 inch. And then turn it around. And you're going to score it again at a 1/2 inch. Okay, and I'm just going to show you the one right now. And then we'll do the other ones. And so just be careful when you're doing this. Now, this paper I have is thin paper. The one that I did the prototype on, this is thick paper on here. And it cracked up on the top when I bent it. So I'm hoping this thinner paper won't do that. And I'm treating it very carefully. So, because I don't want that to happen again. So I'm not going to use the bone folder on the outside. So now we have our first piece here. And as you can see, it fits perfectly. You got your 1/2 inch on the top, on the bottom, and you got your 1/2 inch on the top. But what we're gonna do is we are gonna start this, because this is like a patchwork, we could just add pieces to it with no problem. So what we're gonna do on this first piece is we're going to come and bring it towards one of the ends, okay? Like this. And so what we're going to do is wrap this around, and this is going to be our first piece. So holding this, you could use these little quilt clips on this. These things are fantastic. I love these little things. So I am going to use this to help hold this paper for me, and I'm just going to clip 2 of these on. Okay, so now what you will do, and see now this paper is ripping because it's a thin paper, but just if you have a thin paper, just be a little gentle with it. So just bring it over to the first corner and fold it. Then what you're going to do is use your finger and just bring it over to the other corner and fold it. So now you are going to have 2 folds in your paper. So let's get this off of here. And hopefully this paper is not going to be too thin now. So we're going to go to our first fold and fold that over. Just use your nail, or if you're going to use a bone folder, be gentle with it. And then we're going to go to our second line and fold it over. Just make sure that this is straight. Okay. And just check it again for size. And as you can see, that fits fine. So now what you want to do is, because we have to fold this over now, over it has to be in the corner. So what you are going to do in these corners here, let's do this one first. You're just going to, at the fold line, you're going to start and just snip the end off to that fold line. And then turn it over. And sometimes it's a little hard to see. And you're just going to snip it at the fold line. So when you open it up, you see. And we might have to go in a little bit more because it should really be right at that fold line. So let's see. You don't want to take too much off. Okay, so that one's better. See, it's right at the fold line. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing with this. Going to snip that piece off. And we're going to snip that piece off. So this is what you should have. It should look like this. Okay. So now when we get our box here, we are going to have it, let me put my clip back on here to hold this piece, and I have my clip to hold that side. So now when you're doing your corner, and this is what we're going to glue down first, you have that. And see, it's nice and neat. It will be nice and neat in there. It'll fit really nice and neat. So what I am going to do is remove one of those clips. I'm going to keep the other one on. Just let me get my little mini mat here. Okay, I'm just going to use the lid of a little Solo cup here just to put some glue in. And we are going to glue this, just this centerpiece here. And I'm using a brush because this is thin paper and I don't want to see the lines. So I think by using this, it's going to look better. And then that's going to get folded over. And see, it's that easy. Okay, so now I am going to I'm going to just do the long piece next. And we're going to do these the same way. And bring your glue up to, you know, make sure you have it up there, but up against the other piece. And I know this is all white, so it's kind of hard to see it, but I'm looking at it on the side, and if it's all glistening, you don't want to put too much because you see this is thin paper, and you don't want it to curl up. So what you can do is just bring your box down and let's just fold the bottom. And then we're going to fold it over the top. Okay, and then you could get your bone folder and just kind of press it down a little bit. But see, that looks nice. So when you're working with glue, it's always good to have some baby wipes out so you could clean up your mess. And I personally like the ones that are fragrance free, but you choose any one that you like. Okay, so let's let that side dry. And so now this is going to be our last side, our first piece. And so we're going to do the same thing. And this is just a watercolor brush, a large watercolor brush. And I like those for the glue a lot. So we're just going to fold over the bottom. And then fold over the top here. And then let's just get our bone folder and just make sure our corners are nice and flat. Okay, so see, everything is looking nice and tidy, right? Okay. Now, this is a little bit, it feels a little wet, so I would normally let that dry a little bit, and you'll do that. And so what you're going to do now, being this is such a nice pattern of like a quilt, you know, like a, you're not really going to notice that you have included another piece of paper. And so what you're going to do, don't butt it up head to head, overlap it. You need to definitely overlap it a little bit. And so we're going to do that, and then that's going to look fine. So then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take your piece, your next piece, and you will score it again. And I might as well do this other piece. I think 3 pieces will do it. You're not going to need this whole last piece. What I always like to do first are the edges, you know, the ones with the two, get the 2 ends done, and then what's left, we're going to do this side. Okay, so let me remove this stuff. Okay, let me sit back down. I'm half standing, half sitting, so I will try to stay in frame here. Okay, so again, we are going to just be gentle with your paper. Even if you're using a thicker paper, I think that was my error. just kind of bend it because you're going to glue it down. So I don't think it's really necessary that you use a bone folder and squish it. Okay. Again, fold it down, press it with your finger, and then hold it and press it with your finger again. Okay. And then I could take that clip off, and now you're going to fold where those two lines are. And just make sure that it stays even. So we have this one here. And then we have this one here. Okay, so there are two, and always test it, make sure, and that is fine. Oh, I like that it had the little cherry on the edge. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing again. So let me just fold that there again. Fold that there again. So take your first one here, and I think you could see that the score line there. And so we're going to go at the score line, do it up to the score line is what I'm trying to say. And so when you open it, you'll be able to tell if you got there. If not, just go a little bit more. You want to go to it. You don't want to go past it. Okay, so that should work. And then we're going to have our other one here. Going to go to the score line, to the score line. And so again, you're going to have another one that looked like the other one. So let's get our box back once again. And we're going to start on this side here. So I'm going to use my clip to hold this down again. And we will make sure you have that right in the corner. The crease is going to be right on your corner. And then make sure before you glue anything down, everything looks good, and that looks cute. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing now. We're going to get our glue. And then this next piece we're going to do is the easy piece because the corners are done. And I just think this is a really easy way to do boxes. I mean, you can do any kind of box like this. And we're going to be doing a lot more of these type. We're going to be doing a lot more boxes on because I love making them. And this is a really easy way to do it. You can make some beautiful boxes. And I mean, why pay for them if you can make them? Okay, so that's good. Okay, now let's do this big piece here. So I'm just gonna put this on that side. Okay, so open up this piece. I need more glue. Make sure you have your glue to the top of the page, you know, and so you want that to stick properly. Like up here and down here and along the side here. Okay, and then we'll just put that down. And I like to always do the bottom part first. Get that done. And then we could just fold the top over. And just give it a once over lightly with your bone folder. And again, we could go on the inside. Then we're going to do the last part. Okay. And we got this. Oops. Okay, and there's that side. And this paper is really cute. I like this paper. All right, so now the last side we're going to do is going to be more easy because we just have to, and we don't need this whole piece either. And I'm loving that the reds are coming, although you're not going to see that. So let's see. It really doesn't matter. I like this. So I'm going to go with that side. So we're not going to need, I just want to have a small overlap on both sides on this. So let's see. I'll probably go somewhere along there. Okay, so let me just cut this fast. Okay, so that should be sufficient. Yep, that's perfect. Okay. So now again, we're just going to fold that over lightly. And fold that over lightly. All right. So let's get some glue on this. This one will be a little tricky because now you have glue on the whole piece, but it'll work out. Okay. So let's see. I want to do this way. So let's get our bottom piece anchored down. Okay, so just folding over the top. You still have a little bit of wiggle room. And I need some more glue there. If you want, it might be a better idea just to put glue up on the top or the bottom and then glue the rest of it. Whichever is going to be easier. Yeah, that's what I would do next time. Makes it a little bit easier. Okay. We need a little bit more here too. I will come back and I will tidy this up. Because you do want this to be stuck good. All right, that looks good. Let me remove this, and then we have the outside of the box done. So what we're going to just put one piece on the bottom here, cover that. And now I'm going to let this dry a little bit. And then we're going to do the inside. It's actually going to be easier to do the inside, because we're only doing the panels. We're not going to have the overlap on the inside. So when we cut this, we'll let that dry a little bit while I do this. So now we're going to cut this as the true side. So we're going to do 2 pieces at 1.5 by 12. And then we're going to do, the 2 sides are going to be 2 inches by 2 inches by 1.5, I think. Let's see, hold on. 2 inches. It's going to be 2 inches by 1.5. Okay, so you're going to have 2 at 2 inches by 1.5, 2 12 inches by 1.5, and then you're going to have, this is going to be 2 inches by 12. So let's do the bottom first, which is going to be 2 inches by 12. And let's see, you may have to fuss with it a little bit because it might not fit exactly. So we're going to have to trim that just slightly, I think. But see how cute that's going to look with the cherries, with the little strawberries? Okay, now let me try to get that out of there. Oh, here. So that'll have to be tweaked a little bit. Now the 2 sides are going to be the 12 inches by 1.5. So let me get this to be 1.5 here. And so then this will fit in. And again, we probably will have to tweak it. And yeah. Yeah, that's good. So see, I think this is going to look better than the other one. I'm going to distress the top slightly because you don't want to see the white on the paper either. But that's easier to do. I just think it's going to look neater that way. So we're going to need another one now at 1.5. Okay. And then the next one, we're going to cut another one at, let's see, this was, I think, 2. 2 by 1.5. So we're going to do this one at 2. By 1.5. And the reason I picked this size is because, we'll do the other side. The reason I picked this size is because I wanted something narrow to not take up a lot of room when you're playing a game. And so I felt that that size was a good, nice and narrow side. Okay, so that's going to be one side. And then we're going to do another one at 1.5. Okay. Now, for your next and last piece that you're going to have to cut, so we have all these cut now. So I'm just going to put these here off to the side for a second. And now we have this piece left, which is more than enough. So now we have to consider these internal pieces here. So what you're going to do is you will get a piece of chipboard that is going to be 2 inches. So this one was cut at 2 inches, okay? And so now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this 12-inch piece around. And you want it to just have a finished edge up on the top like these do. So when you wrap this around, you'll have your finished edge on the top. The sides and the bottom will not matter because those are going to be glued down, so you won't see those. So let's just glue this. And this is going to have to dry, so you're going to need to have this dry completely before you use it, because what we're going to have to do then is we're going to cut this in 2-inch pieces. So you will have, this is going to be a 2-inch gap, and this is a 2-inch piece, and you have 2-inch gap, 2-inch piece, 2-inch gap, and so forth. So you're going to have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and you're going to have, you know, you're going to have 6 openings is what I'm trying to say. And the 6 openings are going to be 2 inches long each. So I thought that that was a good amount to have. And so I need 2 of these. For some of the games have a lot of pieces, so I think these sitting next to each other to the side of the game board will keep everything nice and neat. All right, so let me get my board back here. Actually, I need my longer one. I just don't want to get glue on my mat. These are old boards, so these are okay. All right. So I think I'm going to do the glue on here. It's a little more sturdier than this paper. And when I was doing this other one, I was just kind of squirting the glue out, but I think that this is a better process to use. And it's much easier to see it now because it's on your chipboard. And you just run it on the top so we could fold it over. So let me get rid of this for a second. Okay, so I'm gonna get it as close to the bottom as I can. Okay, and then get your bone folder. It's going to come in handy for this. And just press that down. You want that nice and flat. Okay, so now that you have your paper here, it'll be easier to get some glue up on the top here. And this is quick and easy. Just takes a little bit of time to let this glue dry. Okay. So now what I would do is just fold it over and remove this. And so then what I'm going to do after this dries, I will just take my X-Acto and I'll just cut this piece off. And it doesn't matter if the bottom is raw because you're not going to see it. Okay, let me get a fresh baby wipe. All right, so now we could address and just what I didn't want to do with getting glue on my mat, I am doing. Okay. So let's address all our little pieces here. So now I always do the bottom piece last. Always do that last. We're going to do our sides first. Okay. So I think we will glue this and then put the paper in it. I think. I'm not sure. I know what we're going to do. Let's have this hold part of it. See how nice that looks? I think this looks better this way than the other way, but we'll see once this is done. Let's just curl that over, okay? So curl it over, and then we're going to glue this. We'll glue this part first. I think that's the way to approach it. I think that might be the easiest way to approach it. If you find that you want to do it a different way, by all means, do it that way. Just don't bring the glue all the way up to the top here. Try to go a little bit below because you don't want to, I don't think I want to get glue up there. But we'll see. I am doing this side differently, so. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take my hand and I'm going to push it down. Hopefully that's going to look okay. And it does. Okay, so now we don't need the clip anymore, but we could just curl that piece over. Excuse me. And let's get some glue down on the other side. Okay, let's get our bone folder. Okay, and that is how that looks. I don't know if you can see that. But once we put our middle pieces on too, it's going to hide a lot of that, but it looks really cute. I like how that looks a lot. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing now with the other side. Let's take a look at that. That looks like it'll be okay. And so I'm going to use my clip to hold one side down. And we'll take this and just fold it over. And like I said, we're going to distress the edges. And so then just get your finger and just pull that back down. Yes, this is extremely an easy way to do it. And then get your bone folder and... So now again, we don't need this anymore. We'll just take this. If I can get it, and just fold that over now. Okay, so you're just going to fold it over. And then just finish putting your glue on there. Okay, and then you get your bone folder again. Just make sure everything is nice and flat. And there are two sides. It was that easy. Easy, easy. Yeah, I think that looks much neater. What do you think? Doesn't that look neater than that? I mean, this looks neat too, but I like how this one looks better. But it's going to be totally your preference how you want to do it. Now, these sides, there's only one way that we're going to do it, and it's going to just dunk it in there. But again, we're going to have to take a little tiny bit off, because now we have paper on both sides, and that takes up some room. I think I just need a little bit more. Let's see. Yep, that works. And then just get your glue in there. And just get it as far to the bottom as you can. All right, and then there's one side, and then we'll do the final side. And then we will put that piece on the bottom, and we're going to have to cut that too, because now you have paper on all sides, which is taking up space. Okay. And before I put that bottom piece down, I'm going to let this dry, because I don't want any wet glue getting in the way. So I'm trying to, before I hit the top with make contact with the top, I just want to make sure I got the bottom on there. So when you're putting your paper in, try to angle it that you could hit the bottom first and then attach it to the top. All right, and that looks sweet. Okay. So now I'm going to let this dry just for a couple minutes, guys, and then I'll come back and we will put that bottom in. Okay, hold on. Okay, so I am back. This is nice and dry now. The bottom, the pieces for our sides. These pieces here, and I trimmed the bottom slightly. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to hold this, and I'll try to do this with one hand. I want to start getting glue because it's in a good position, and so I don't want to move it around too much. So let's just get this stuck down here. It's stuck down the best we can. Get those corners. Okay. And we could just I found that this is probably going to be the best way to do it. The least, you know, the least amount that you could move it, the better you'll be. Oops. Okay. And then I'm just going to grab this other end here. Okay. And that's going to tell us where the glue is, because we can't pick it up anymore. All right, and then let's just scoot that down. And same thing, look, it's just gonna, all right, and I love how that looks. That looks really nice. I like how it looks better than the other way. Nice and neat, right? Okay, so now we're stuck with this. Well, not stuck with it, but this is our last process right now. Let me just clean this off a little bit. And so what I am gonna do, I mean, we can't fold that over, but I'm trying to think of the easiest thing to do. The last time I did this, I cut into the bottom a little bit, so I don't want to do that. So I think what I'm going to do is get my larger scissor. Okay. Yeah, this is much easier. So this is the way to do it. Okay, we are back, and I have our piece that we cut, and I already took a piece out of it. And as you can see, there are 3 sides that are not finished, and then the one side that is, and it fits in there very well. And what you can do is, if you had made one of these already, you could just use that as a template. And if not, all you're going to do is these are going to be 2 inches apart. So the next one is going to go in that space there. And so let's just cut these, and these are going to be a cut at 2 inches. Because this is 2 inches. Let's just always check your measurements, because you don't want to mess up your, so this is 2 inches. You don't want to mess up and have to start over again. So what I'm going to do is, being now you have paper in here, it's taking up space. So I would do, instead of going all the way to the line, I'm just going to bring it a little bit under the line there. And so we're going to cut this. And then this one I'm going to turn over. And then so let me just bring this back here. So being I already have one, I am going to just use this as a template for the time being. And so we're just going to keep going. So now we have all our pieces. Let me get rid of this here. And now we could finish putting this in as a, just always make sure that you have the right side up. That one's a little big, but that's okay. You could always cut a little bit more off of that one. And some of them might not stand up because some are going to be a looser fit. But once we get the glue on there, they will stay in. Yeah, that one's kind of tight too. Okay. So what I am going to do, doing this, having one done already, really helps, because when I was doing this one, I had to keep moving it around. So having it like this is going to be helpful. But like I said, just measure. You're just going to keep measuring 2 inches. So you're going to put your first one in, right? That's 2 inches. And it doesn't have to be absolute perfect, but you want to get it as close to 2 inches as you can. So what we are going to do, and I am going to switch out my glue right now to my glitter glue because I want a fine tip now. You could just get the excess off. All right, so on the first one, we are going to put that right there. And it's just going to take but a second to set. So while that's doing that, let's just continue. And this is what you're going to do for the rest of this. And then you're going to have to let this dry. I'm trying to put this on as neat as I can. But like I said, it's going to dry clear. Okay. Okay, so now I am going to put this right in here, which this makes it so much easier than when you're doing the first one. And you could eyeball it, make sure that the bottom's not like sticking out, and make sure everything looks straight, and which it does. And so we're just going to continue. And these are a lot of fun to make. And I also am going to make other components for game night, because I recently started a game night at my house. I have several of my friends and neighbors come over on Friday night, and we had a ball this past Friday. We played Ticket to Ride, which is a really fun game, guys. And we played it, the 3 of us played it with Amazon's Alexa. She pooped out a couple times. We had to like restart the app, but it was so much fun. I mean, it was a lot of fun. If you have not done that and you have that game, or if you're thinking about getting it, you could play with Alexa, and it's just a lot of fun. And that's a fun game to play, you know, for 2 or more people. I think you could play 4 or 5 people, I forget. But it was really fun to play with Alexa. And then we played Parcheesi afterwards, and I haven't played that game in a long time. And that was a lot of fun. So yeah, so Friday night, game night. This will be the 3rd week that we're doing it coming up. And and I'm really glad I started it. It's a lot of fun. And I do have a lot of games, which prompted me to do this video. So I am going to be making more, like I said, I'm going to be making more components for other game pieces, and it's just a lot of fun. Okay, so see how easy this is now? Everything is perfectly lined up. Now, you could do them all the same pattern, or you could change it up. And to me, it doesn't matter. I like having the different papers. Plus, it's a good way to use your stash of papers and things like that. So now this looks good. Let me just make sure you like how everything looks. So you don't have to take anything out. And we're going to need to let this dry for a while. And then what I'm going to do as the last thing here, I'm going to take my distress pad and I'm going to go with the lightest. And then if I don't like how that looks or it's not light enough, dark enough, I'll just go with the dark. But we really need to let this dry. So I am going to let that dry. Oh, next thing we have to do, once that dries, I'll just do the back and then we will finalize this cute little thing. All right, guys, so hang on. We're almost there. Okay, so my box is dry for the most part. I'll let it dry a little bit more, but I love how this came. It's a little bit wet over here. You can still see some white glue, but it came so nice on the inside. And I like how this looks much better than that. Yeah, I'm liking how that looks a lot better. But you could do it either way, whichever way you want to do it. Now, I've seen people do it this way. They don't put paper in here. They just kind of paint the inside. And then you have this finished edge. But personally, I like this way better. It's better to go the little extra effort and have it look really pretty. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I am going to put the bottom on. And you could also put some really cute feet on these. And I do have some. I just have to find them. And I don't know if I want to actually have that on there. Being this particular one that I made is going to be for game, for game pieces. But you could certainly put anything in these. You could put little, some kind of little things that you have, little items, So this is 2 inches now, the bottom, but I'm going to make it a little shorter than 2 inches. And then it's 12 inches, so I'm going to make it a little shorter. Oh, wait a second, I want to do, I wonder if I should do that on the bottom. Nope, I think I'm just going to use what we had. Yeah, that'll look better, actually. I don't know, maybe that will look better. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with this. And I'm just going to make it a tad smaller. I think that's going to be good. I don't know, somehow I like how this looks better with that paper. I'm just going to make it a little bit shorter. Okay, I think that's going to be good. Yep, that looks fine. Yeah. Okay, so let me get my glue back out here. I'm just going to put a blob of it on this piece of paper. Actually, I will. Now I got clogged up again. Here, I got a pin right here. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing we did on the inside. I am just going to brush a little bit on one side and then put the rest of the glue on the other side. Okay. So let's see. Get this even. Now this is a really nice sturdy box. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go in with Vintage Photo and see how that will look. And then if I need to go darker with that, I will. But I just don't want to go crazy with the with this. I just want to add a little bit of distress. And see, that looks nice. It's just a little bit. Okay, so this is how I just did a makeshift thing. This is part of the board being exposed, but this is how I planned it. You're going to have your board, and you're going to have this next to your board somewhere. And I didn't take these out of the bags again, but these are all the components that you need when you're playing this game. And so, as you can see, you'd have to have these in all little cups or just on the board, or kept them in the bags and have people grab them out of the bags. I think this is a more efficient, pretty way to do it. And it's cheap. I mean, if you have the chipboard and glue and some paper, you know, scrapbook paper, you could make this. And all you need to do is have some type of packing tape, you know, even the brown one. That's the one that I have coming, masking tape. This works excellent to do this. It'll take you about maybe a half hour, 45 minutes, because you have to let the glue dry in certain places. If you want to embellish it more, you could put laces on here. You could put stickers on it. Like I said, if you could get artwork that corresponds to your game, you could certainly print that off and use that paper. But I like just to have the pretty little boxes here. So, guys, I hope you liked this video. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this. I have not seen really anybody doing boxes for board game pieces, so I'm glad that if you were looking for this video and you found it, I'm really happy about that. Let me know if you want to see me make any other things for games. My next one is going to be a little card holder, because oftentimes you have a deck of cards and they're just sitting there and they go all over the place. So if I could make something to either have them stand up or maybe be a little inclined so they're easy access, that's the next thing I'm going to do. So, guys, again, please hit like and subscribe. And, yeah, leave a comment for me so I know you like these. I think I'm going to start to do some reviews, not reviews, but just I'm going to show you some games that I have in my stash and tell you what I think about them. And I like the games that you could play not only with a group but solo. So that is a big thing that I'm finding that I'm enjoying. And so, yeah, so I had fun doing this. This was a lot of fun making these little boxes. And so, yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to be getting on here more now. I know I haven't been doing too many videos. I've had a lot of stuff going on. My store is still open on eBay. And I still do have quite a few things in there. And I have to start putting more things in there. I do want to go back to the junk journal realm. I have a couple projects that I'm going to do a video on. And as far as the junk journals, I do still have some that I'm going to put on that I'm going to be selling. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, let me know if there's anything of interest that you'd like to see on this channel or me do on this channel. I'm trying to get all my things of love that I like to do incorporated in this channel, not just make it for one thing. But yeah, so listen, guys, you enjoy the rest of your day then, and look for my next video and check out my eBay store. There's a whole bunch of good stuff still in there. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.